Sylvester Stallone's Rambo prequel idea can make the Rambo movies better while also allowing Rambo Last Blood to stay true to its title. Stallone's Rambo prequel idea expands on the best part of John Rambo's First Blood story arc, while also allowing Rambo Last Blood to truly be Last Blood. The Rambo franchise got off to a strong start in 1982 with First Blood, the only Rambo movie rated fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. For better or for worse, the ensuing sequels prioritized graphic, high-octane action, although 2019's Rambo Last Blood made at least some effort to integrate meaningful character development. The character development scene in Rambo Last Blood also came with some heavy implications for the titular Vietnam War vet, but there are other reasons why Sylvester Stallone's prequel idea would be much better than making Rambo 6. In an interview, the actor said, "I wanted to do a Rambo prequel like a Ken Burns documentary on Vietnam, where you drop young Rambo in there, and he's this outgoing guy, football captain, and then you see why he becomes Rambo." Stallone has the right idea. A prequel exploring John Rambo's tragic backstory would return the character to his grounded roots and build on the legacy of the well-regarded first movie. How a Rambo prequel could make the other Rambo movies better. Having a better understanding of how John Rambo transformed from outgoing guy to a literal killing machine would add much-needed context and depth to all the Rambo movies. Sylvester Stallone's prequel idea would benefit First Blood the most, however, because it would finally do justice to a character who originally served as a trailblazer for on-screen depictions of PTSD and war trauma. First Blood stands out from the rest of the Rambo franchise, but it's also a stark contrast from the typical action flick of the 80s. While stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Wesley Snipes were gleefully dropping a plethora of puns and bodies during the 80s, the first Rambo movie was an enigma that would have been even more distinct if First Blood's original ending had been kept in. The gut-wrenching police station monologue in First Blood's third act was not just one of Stallone's finest acting performances, but it brutally subverted the idea that a male muscle-bound action protagonist couldn't or wouldn't care or feel about anything. First Blood rejected that notion with John Rambo's breakdown, and Stallone's prequel idea would further reveal how and why Rambo got to that point. Rambo 6 shouldn't happen. Last Blood made it clear that story is done. It's also true Rambo Last Blood was very clear about John Rambo's story being complete. Not only did the movie's final scene heavily imply that Rambo might bleed to death on his rocking chair, but the end credits featured a poignant montage of all the previous Rambo movies. Even if Rambo killed all those people and survived, there isn't really anywhere else for his story to go except into the past. Stallone did mention in his interview that a modern-day story where I pass the torch might also be in the works. It's too soon to make a definitive verdict on that idea, but Rambo Last Blood was a decent ending for a played-out franchise. The best idea left is a Rambo prequel. If Rambo 6 ever happens, the sequel should explore more of the titular character's backstory and introduce two key unseen legacy characters. The Rambo scene in 1982's First Blood stands in stark contrast to the figure who became an icon of 80s action cinema. First Blood's John Rambo is lost and outcast, and violently strikes back against the sheriff and town that decided to antagonize him. It was only with the second movie that the focus switched to Stallone's muscular physique and a string of bombastic action set pieces. While the latter movie carried over the idea that the last thing Rambo wants to do is fight, First Blood Part 2, which was almost a buddy comedy, showed he was very, very good at it. The series changed as Stallone's understanding of the Rambo character did. He ditched the glossy action of the first two sequels for the fourth entry, Rambo, in 2008. This made the character darker and angrier and more in line with his portrayal in the original First Blood novel. Stallone seemingly signed off from the saga with 2019's Rambo Last Blood, which opened with the character enjoying a long period of peace with his surrogate family until it all ended in bloodshed once again. Rambo is famously a man of few words, a trait that evolved from Stallone's reaction to early cuts of First Blood. The first version the actor saw was around 3 hours long and reportedly unwatchable, and Stallone, who wasn't the first actor to play Rambo, recommended his dialogue be trimmed to the bare minimum. This makes much of Rambo's backstory and feelings a mystery, even in Last Blood, which saw him enjoying civilian life for the first time in decades. That movie ended with a wounded John Rambo riding off for parts unknown, following a bloody showdown on his farm. But if Rambo 6 ever happens, it should explore his previously unseen parents and family life. The biggest nods to Rambo's parents in past movies include First Blood Part 2, which revealed his father, Revis Rambo, is Native American while his mother, Helga, was German. While Jon suggested his father could still be alive in 2008's Rambo, as he hadn't been back to America in 20 years, Last Blood, which Rambo's creator hated, later confirmed Reeves died in 2000, 8 years before Jon finally returned. It also confirmed Helga passed away in 1969. For the most part, the franchise has presented Rambo as a mythic, Western-style hero with very little backstory, although the Native American side of Rambo was also a story Stallone had tied with exploring. An unproduced screenplay for the fourth entry, dubbed Rambo Borderline, went more in-depth into his Native American heritage, while the star thinks a sixth movie should open with the ex-soldier taking shelter on an Indian reservation. Rambo 6, or even the potential prequel series Stallone has mooted, should explore Rambo's parents in greater detail. This could flesh out the character's backstory in a significant way, revealing who he was before he became the perfect soldier and how his parents shaped his beliefs. Rambo 6, which Stallone has a concept for, with Stallone isn't looking like currently, but if it does happen, this is one avenue it should definitely explore. Stallone's Rambo 6 story concept already has a poetic, reflective tone to it, as it would see the character retreat to a reservation to connect with his indigenous ancestry and try to find peace. This alone could probably offer adequate closure, but it wouldn't be a Rambo movie without some combat, and Stallone's battered protagonist finally falling in battle would make for an appropriately emotional and definitive ending, as well as pay homage to the franchise's literary roots. As for a potential Tarantino remake of the first film, it's possible that an ending in which Rambo dies could work better today than it would have in 1982. While it's certainly gut-wrenching and unjust, that's a key part of the picture Morrell's Vietnam War novel sets out to paint. If something like Rambo 6 ever sees the light of day, it will finally be time to utilize the ending that Morrell's novel and early drafts of the original First Blood movie give to their tragic protagonist. The book ends with Rambo's death, specifically at the hand of Troutman, who puts him down with a shot to the head. Additionally, having a different ending from 1982's First Blood would help set Tarantino's remake apart. Whether or not Rambo 6 or a First Blood remake happens, a Rambo death ending seems like an appropriate route to take. Well, that's it. For now, make sure that you like our video. Please share your views and opinions in the comments section with us. Subscribe to the channel to get updated regularly with the latest news and reviews on upcoming movies from us. And do not forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you at the next one.